Following our latest weather maker, we're looking at drier and less humid conditions this weekend. I'll let you know what you can expect.
3 teens shot in West Baltimore. Fox 45 is getting new information about what happened.
But first, Marilyn Mosby files for limited divorce from City Council President Nick Mosby. A look at how this plays into her upcoming federal trial.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Well, they were once Baltimore's top power couple, former City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby and Council President Nick Mosby. But word tonight that the Mosbys are calling it quits in their marriage. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maxine Stryker.
And I'm Kai Jackson. This news comes as we get closer to the federal trial of former City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. Mosby is facing 4 federal charges stemming from her purchase of 2 vacation homes in Florida. Nick Mosby isn't facing any charges and is running for re-election. Today we learned of their plans to split.
Keith Daniels has a copy of their court filing. And Keith, what are you learning tonight?
Well, Maxine, it's only 2 pages, but the former City State's Attorney is making her point. And tonight, it's another matter for the Mosbys. Once regarded as Baltimore's power couple, embattled former City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby files to end her marriage with City Council President Nick Mosby. Her lawyer submitting the paperwork at Baltimore Circuit Court Friday morning. According to the 2-page court complaint obtained by Fox 45 News, Marilyn Mosby is seeking a limited divorce, joint child custody, and other financial relief. Under Maryland law, a limited divorce is the state's version of a legal separation, allowing spouses to settle issues like dividing assets and to establish child custody.
Especially since Mosby now has more than 40 employees and a budget that's grown to more than $20 million in 2 years. In a statement, Costello says, quote, "I will continue to ask hard questions of Mosby because the people of Brooklyn and the city as a whole deserve real solutions and support from wraparound services like Safe Streets, not just continued lip service." Schleifer says Jackson's comments now are not a surprise.
She spent her entire tenure in this agency running away from the media.
And that's reality, as we've tried to get answers from Jackson over the years about how the multi-million-dollar Safe Streets program operates. Director Jackson, can I ask you a couple of questions? Director Jackson, can you explain a little bit more about ROCA? When can we learn more about Safe Streets? I know that you announced your resignation and you're planning to leave. Can you say where you plan to go?
Let me stop right here.
Okay.
Never, ever will I prioritize any news about me over top of news about our young people.
That's why I didn't ask
we
during
can
the
save
press
that
conference.
question for a time when I'm ready to share it. Thank you.
Do you have any idea who will be taking your place, especially given this youth curfew plan and Mosby's role in this? Jackson's op-ed only calls out Schleifer and Costello.
It's, a little strange considering there was other council people as well who were holding them accountable.
Not Councilman Antonio Glover, who went further in his critique of Jackson's former agency.
Should Mosby be getting the level of funding that it is?
Right now, I think that until
we start to see transparency in data, I think that money should be held to a whole.
Regardless of the criticism, Schleifer says he won't stop demanding answers from Mosby.
And I'm going to continue to ask it, and if we don't receive the follow-up prior to that hearing, I'm going to repeat the very same questions that I asked last time.
Especially as City Hall doubles down on the Safe Streets program and the community violence intervention effort in Baltimore City. Given the latest questions about Jackson's current role, we asked City Hall if she's still on the payroll. We're still waiting on an answer. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
As the City Council demands more transparency from Safe Streets, the mayor is doubling down on his position that workers and the program as a whole need to keep its operations secret, refusing this week to provide any concrete insight into how mediations are tracked or reported by workers.
We're talking about a very privileged document, Mackenzie.
So there is a document does exist?
We're talking about a very sensitive process. We cannot put those workers at risk just because we want to think about and critique and criticize something that some people don't understand.
Can the public see a blank form?
I think the public should trust and know, just like they trust our police officers, that these lifesavers are out there doing their work.
Well, after Mayor Scott's latest comments, Fox 45 News sends questions to his office asking what information is privileged when talking about the document used to record and track mediations done by Safe Streets workers. Safe Streets workers have anonymity to the public due to Mosby and the mayor's refusal to reveal their identities, yet police officers' information is public. Police reports are also public, but the mediation information is not. We also asked the mayor, what's the public supposed to base their trust on for Safe Streets workers?
Another question we asked about Safe Streets is how workers are trained. This week, the Board of Estimates approved a $134,000 contract for the University of Baltimore to train Safe Streets workers. The school will partner with the Schaefer Center for Public Policy to create the Violence Intervention Certificate Program.
This certification program is going to go incredibly far in expanding our capacity to do this work as a city and to help formulate the best strategies to continue doing this work and saving lives across Baltimore.
Fox 45 News has been trying to find out how Safe Streets workers are trained for years, but the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement won't tell us. That leads us to our question of the day. Do you think the mayor needs to answer all questions about Safe Streets? To weigh in, go to our website, foxbaltimore.com/vote.
A deadly morning on the road in Prince George's County. What we're learning about this crash.
A date has been set in the federal trial of former President Donald Trump, how that could affect the Republican nomination for president.
And we are shining a spotlight on America, why veterans are facing a higher rate of cancer, what's causing it, and the push for something to be done.
We had a pretty nice afternoon following this morning's rain, and it looks pretty good for the rest of the weekend. We'll have lower humidity to go along with our hot temperatures. Upper 80s tomorrow, low 90s on Sunday, but then the rain returns as we start the upcoming work week. I'll let you know just what to expect for the weekend and how much rain we could see in my full forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Around the state, there was a deadly crash in Prince George's County this morning. This was the scene in Springdale around 8. Prince George's County police say a car crashed and wrapped itself around a telephone pole. Police say it was the only vehicle involved in the crash. The driver died while a passenger was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The cause is under investigation.
And another deadly crash in Anne Arundel County just after 9 last night. Officers responded to a collision on Ritchie Highway in Severna Park. Police say a pedestrian wearing dark, non-reflective clothing was in the middle of the road when they were hit by a sedan. The victim was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. That crash remains under investigation.
Crews with the state will be spraying parts of Anne Arundel County this weekend after West Nile virus was found in 2 trapped mosquitoes. It's going to be done around 7 Sunday evening near Crane Highway and Davidsonville Road. No cases have been found in the people, but the Department of Agriculture is advising residents to avoid being outside while they spray. These cases are the first to be recorded in the country this year.
Take a look at this. This is the moment that a lightning strike, in Bel Air. This is from the storms overnight on Wednesday. Our viewer Amber sent that video to us. On your right is the damage that was left behind. You can see just where that lightning struck the tree. Some cleanup for homeowners there after last night's storms.
And take a look at this. You're looking at a downed tree in Butler, not far from Cockeysville. The strong storms overnight downed this tree on the Falls Road. We saw crews in the area cleaning up that debris.
And let's get a check of live conditions right now. You're looking outside Baltimore and Towson. The humidity is down, and this weekend we are in for a summer treat.
That's right. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax is here with the forecast. Can you see the lightning strikes today that happened overnight, Jasmine?
I can.
Go back? Okay.
Yes, I can go back and kind of see where some of those were.
I'm assuming there were a lot.
There were a lot. I slept through them all, though.
I'm really impressed that you are that deep of a sleeper.
Yeah, I'm a very heavy sleeper, but tonight looks good for anyone that is disturbed by those storms overnight. None of those. We are looking at
lightning earrings, Jasmine. I just noticed that.
Yes, I do have lightning earrings on today. I forgot about that. But we are looking at really a great weekend, all behind that cold front. That's what led to the rain and the storms. Behind that, you'll notice dry air around the region, and we are going to stay nice and dry for much of the weekend. But behind that cold front, also lower humidity. Across the state right now, we're mainly seeing temperatures in the 70s with nice and clear skies. Tomorrow, we are looking at plenty of sunshine, but first overnight, those temperatures will drop to the upper 60s and the low 70s. Tomorrow, though, heating things up to the 80s, and it gets even hotter on Sunday. Coming up, I'll have a look at what you can expect for the weekend and when we'll have the next chance for rain in my full forecast. Back to you.
Restaurant Week in Baltimore is officially underway. Now through July 30th, more than 70 restaurants are serving delicious meals at discounted prices. Summer Restaurant Week is in its 18th year and is our region's largest and longest running Restaurant Week promotion. To check out participating restaurants and their deals, head to foxbaltimore.com/newslinks.
Legendary singer and entertainer Tony Bennett has passed away. We'll take a look at his career.
Some of America's biggest tech companies making a plan about how they can work with artificial intelligence responsibly. I'm Atrell Nashar with a look at whether that plan can work.
We are back now with the Fox 45 Quad Box. Former President Donald Trump will stand trial on May 20th in connection with classified documents found at his Florida home. It'll come after voters decide who the GOP nominee for president should be. Right now, we're waiting to find out if Trump will face another federal trial in his efforts to undo the 2020 election.
Lawmakers in Alabama have until midnight to redraw its voting maps. The Supreme Court ordered the state to include 2 districts where black voters make up voting age majorities. Lawmakers this week proposed 2 new maps. Neither meets the high court's requirements.
UPS workers are ready to go on strike if the shipping company doesn't deliver on labor demands. Talks broke down earlier this month, but will resume next week. The current contract expires at the end of the month.
Legendary jazz singer and entertainer Tony Bennett has passed away. Over his career, he released more than 70 albums and won 19 Grammy Awards. He died at the age of 96 in his hometown of New York.
You're looking at live pictures of the White House on this Friday night. The Biden administration announcing what it says is a first step towards regulating artificial intelligence. It comes as executives of 7 top tech companies leading the AI charge agree to regulations.
National correspondent Dr. Marilyn Mosby explains what those guidelines are and how they could impact users.
Leaders in the race to develop artificial intelligence putting their competition on pause for a moment Friday to agree to a set of ground rules. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, OpenAI, Inflection, and Anthropic voluntarily committing to 3 objectives. Ensure products are safe before introducing them to the public, build systems that put security first, and, perhaps the most important and difficult to achieve, earn the public's trust.
I think we're all clear. Trust is fundamental to get the benefits of this technology.
This includes adding watermarks to content so viewers know if a picture, for example, was made with AI, and putting new products through independent security reviews. The White House tells me they know there is more work to be done to come up with official enforcement mechanisms and standards for product testing, 2 things that would almost certainly need approval from Congress.
An underlying fact about the work that these companies are signing up to do is that a lot of this work still has to be invented.
Machine learning expert Patrick Hall says the agreement is a good step, but without the force of government regulation, doesn't expect companies to move the needle much on AI risk.
They are under immense time pressure to move fast and essentially move fast and break things, the good old-fashioned Facebook mantra with these generative AI technologies.
One issue the agreement does not address: how companies can responsibly use AI to perform tasks that are currently done by a human worker. It's a top concern for striking writers and actors who fear studios will replace them with AI-generated content. Part of a long list of worries policymakers have about what AI is capable of. For Congress, which holds the most power to create regulation, the biggest enemy may be time, as advancements in AI move faster than Washington. On Capitol Hill, I'm Marilyn Mosby reporting.
Shantae Jackson, former director of Mosby, breaks her silence. We look into her claims about the effectiveness of safe streets.
3 teenagers shot overnight in West Baltimore. What police say happened.
And a story you'll only see here tonight. The high rate of cancer facing veterans, what's causing it, and the push for something to be done.
We are getting ready for a gorgeous day tomorrow. It will be hot with temperatures reaching the upper 80s and the low 90s. Perfect for spending some time out at the pool, but it really starts to feel like summer next week with hotter temperatures. I'll let you know just how hot it will get coming up in my full forecast.
Shantae Jackson breaks her silence. She stepped down last month as the director of Monsey. Jackson penning an op-ed in the Baltimore Sun about the public safety breakdown in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. A key point of her op-ed, the effectiveness of safe streets based on data from a Johns Hopkins study.
Fox 45's Vincent Hill is looking into that study as Monsey remains under the microscope.
34 pages of numbers, graphs, and stats, but does it all add up, or is it another questionable part of the Safe Streets program?
Former Monsey director Shantae Jackson sticking to her guns about the effectiveness of Safe Streets, touting much of the success to a Johns Hopkins report she implemented shortly after taking office, led by Dr. Daniel Webster.
2 months after I started, he was one of my very first calls. So that evaluation has wrapped up.
The effectiveness of the 34-page report released in March of 2023, much like the Safe Streets program, called into question because it was funded by Baltimore City taxpayers.
And I think the fact that it is funded by taxpayer dollars is just another reason why Monsey and Catholic Charities and everybody else who is involved with this organization owes the public a duty to be as transparent as possible.
Uripsy Morgan of the group Peace says Johns Hopkins should have funded its own report. Otherwise, it questions if the report is biased based on the price tag.
I think that it raises a lot of questions about the methodology that was used, how sound it is.
Morgan calling the report misleading when it comes to a reduction in crime.
That study actually has been horribly misconstrued, and it actually says in the very beginning that any reduction that was found was really in the first 4 years of implementation of Safe Streets.
Pointing to another Johns Hopkins study paid for by taxpayer dollars.
Let's not forget that the former state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby, also used a study that was a Johns Hopkins study to tout the supposed success of her policies, but we know that didn't go over very well.
Morgan says the true results can't be found in the report, but in the words on the street.
Now, much of this report is based on prediction models and not so much data from BPD about non-fatal shootings and homicides. In Baltimore, Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Well, just last night, another 3 teens became victims of the city's violent crime crisis.
The kids between the ages of 15 and 16 were all shot in West Baltimore.
Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell has the details.
Riggs Avenue, 4 rounds.
A shot spotter alert sending officers to West Baltimore's Mosher neighborhood.
I'm also getting discharged now, 2700 block of Riggs, 1 ticket.
Here on Riggs Avenue, police say officers find evidence of a shooting and a teen who had been shot. A quick canvass leading officers to 2 more teen victims, both with gunshot wounds on nearby Winchester Street.
All right, do I have an available unit that can respond over and follow that medical on a Riggs?
The teens rushed to an area hospital. The case, now a triple shooting. Investigators have not yet said what they believe led up to the triple shooting, but the victims adding to the growing number of youth falling victim to violence here in Baltimore. So far this year, there have been at least 11 juvenile homicides and more than 60 youth have been shot in non-fatal shootings. Where this triple shooting happened, also under the microscope. The Western District is where the mayor launched his group violence reduction strategy more than a year ago. And while homicides and shootings have gone down in this district, crime continues. The latest online statistics showing non-fatal shooting numbers are about the same as this time last year. Fox 45 News questioning the mayor on this just last month when officials announced the takedown of a drug trafficking ring in this area.
You would be foolish to think that you'll have a program for a year and it's going to go away. What you should be highlighting is that an area that's 3.7 square miles and 37,000 people that is accompanying for some years 15, 16, 20% of the violence in the city of Baltimore is seeing that violence go down.
But for these 3 teens, that progress, not enough. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Meantime, an early morning shooting sends 2 men to the hospital. Just after 1 o'clock, police responded to East 43rd Street in North Baltimore. They found a 64-year-old and a 25-year-old who'd been shot. Police say they were taken to the hospital and are considered stable. Anyone with information about the shooting is asked to call city police.
Well, this year, 368 people have survived non-fatal shootings in Baltimore, while 154 have been killed in the city. Those numbers are down from this time last year, but there are concerns over the number of mass shootings and a rise in youth crime.
Police have reported kids breaking into closed public pools in Baltimore. Now, some city council members and the mayor are butting heads over pool repairs. Councilman Zeke Cohen says the mayor should have set aside funding to repair the Patterson Park pool and other facilities before the swim season began. But the mayor says the councilman was among those who wanted to wait to make repairs after swim season ended. Taxpayer watchdogs say the situation shows the city has a serious management issue.
It's all excuses, but I think you have to go to the leadership of the children who actually broke into the pool. This is the teen pool revolt in the summer of 2023. Now, look, we don't condone breaking and entering and law breaking, but I think, these kids, they're hot, they've had it, they just want to cool off, and this is their response to the unresponsive and broken city bureaucracy at Parks and Recreation, and ultimately the buck has to stop with Mayor Brandon Scott.
Well, according to Open the Books, more than $13 million was put towards pool repairs more than a year ago. Clifton Park Pool reopened today, but 2 others are expected to remain closed for the rest of the summer.
Today, the Maryland State Police 156th Academy class joined the ranks of Maryland's finest. The governor and State Police Superintendent Roland Butler addressing the candidates as they officially become troopers. This class includes 26 graduates, including multiple military veterans, state police cadets, and former police officers.
We're so proud of our troopers. We're proud of the Maryland State Police. This is a day where our whole state should be celebrating because we now have a whole new crop of new troopers who are out and just really lifting up the best of our state. And so we're excited about this class. We're excited about the classes that are coming forward, and we're excited to continue building out just what is the best state police in the entire country.
After graduation today, each trooper will be required to complete 8 weeks of additional field training.
A new Pentagon study shows cancer risk is higher for military pilots and crew members than it is for the general public, in some cases really high.
Spotlight on America obtained a copy of the study and is taking a closer look at the troubling numbers and the impact on veterans.
Here's National Investigative Correspondent Angie Moreski.
The Department of Defense study looked at nearly 900,000 Air Force and Navy pilots and crew members from 1992 to 2017. Overall, it showed air crews were about 25% more likely to be diagnosed with all types of cancer compared to the general public. It's already a dangerous job, but concern is growing that higher rates of cancer are an additional occupational hazard for military pilots and their crew members. Spotlight on America obtained a copy of the study. It found air crews had the highest risk, including an alarming 87% higher rate of melanoma, the most deadly form of skin cancer, a 39% higher rate of thyroid cancer, and 16% higher rate for prostate cancer in men and breast cancer in women. And for ground crews who service aircraft for the first time, this study shows they also have higher rates of cancer, including 19% higher for brain and nervous system cancers, 15% higher for thyroid cancer, 9% higher for kidney and renal cancers, and for women, a 7% higher rate of breast cancer.
Right there.
That's you.
Mm-hmm.
As a young man, Joseph Heater, now in his 80s, served as an aircraft engine mechanic during the Vietnam War.
I had a squamous cell carcinoma removed right here.
That's just the latest. Sergeant Heater has battled cancer his whole life since getting out of the service. It's almost like you check every box.
I've had prostate cancer, and I had a complete prostatectomy. I've had malignant melanomas. I have lymphoma.
Do you think that played a part here in the cancer that you've experienced later in life?
Oh, I do.
Most veterans who were exposed aren't aware of the fact they were exposed.
Disabled American Veterans Deputy Legislative Director Shane Learman says determining if there is a link to service is crucial so veterans can get treatment from the VA.
If a veteran has been exposed to something that's having a long-term negative effect, action needs to be taken. Veterans have already paid the price. They shouldn't continue to pay.
A second phase of the study will now look at what air and ground crews were exposed to that might be causing elevated cancer risk, from cosmic radiation to jet fuel. You were just covered in it.
Just covered in it.
During his service, Mr. Heater says he was constantly drenched in jet fuel while working on aircraft engines. And you did that for years.
I did that for 6 years.
How much does it mean to you to finally see them studying this?
Oh, it means a lot. It's time. We're losing too many people for something that we shouldn't be losing them for. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
Mr. Heater is grateful he survived his multiple bouts of cancer over all these years and hopes the results of this study will lead to more veterans getting screened earlier and more often. You're one of the lucky ones. You're a survivor.
I did. I made it through a lot, and I wish things would have been different. I wish I hadn't gotten exposed to all this stuff, but I did, and unlucky.
Catching those cancers early is very important. One note of good news from the study, it found air crews were 56% less likely to die from their cancers than the general population. And for ground crews, it was 35%. For Spotlight on America, I'm Angie Moreski.
A polo match for a good cause. We explain on tonight's Marilyn Moment.
And must-see video from the Severn River, where a pod of dolphins is wowing people in the water. It's a very rare sight to see these dolphins north of Route 50.
And it'll be a pretty comfortable weekend as dew points gradually rise, but next week, dew points increase, it becomes more humid, and we get ready for rain. I'll let you know what to expect over the next 7 days coming up in my full forecast.
New video from North Carolina shows the moment a tornado struck this past Wednesday. This is near the town of Rocky Mount. You can see the storm rip pieces of a roof right off. The twister downed trees and damaged homes around the area and ripped open part of the roof of a Pfizer manufacturing complex. The company says it's still assessing the damage there.
Look, I have to say that clearly, nature is strong, it's powerful, but so too is human ingenuity and human spirit. And a great deal of work needs to be done here, but I want to assure all that we are committed.
There's cleanup in Ohio tonight after severe storms hit them overnight. The powerful storms left damage throughout the Cleveland area. Multiple lightning strikes were reported, leading to power outages.
Right now, the brutal heat wave blanketing much of the nation is showing no signs of letting up. New records are being set across the South and out west in places like Phoenix. The record streak of 20 straight days reaching a 110 degrees or higher could continue well into next week.
I don't even know what to think because you can't even think.
You've got the sun from above, you got the heat coming off the concrete. You know, I guess it's hard to explain it if you've never experienced it.
The heat tries to